My name is Jason Carter. I'm a 34-year-old night shift janitor at an old hospital in rural Pennsylvania. The building's been abandoned for over a decade, but the city kept it under surveillance to prevent squatters or vandalism. 3 times a week, I walk the silent halls with nothing but my flashlight and a radio crackling static. The place was dead quiet. Always had been. But honestly, I liked it. No people, no noise, just me and the echoes of my own footsteps. Peaceful in a weird way. I had my routine. Check the east wing, pass the operating rooms, finish with the lower maintenance tunnels, then clock out. Easy money. Last night, though, something wasn't right. It started with the hallway lights. They usually stayed off, the electricity barely worked, but as I turned the corner into the west corridor, they flickered on one by one ahead of me. No motion sensors, no timer, just click, 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 lighting the way like breadcrumbs into the dark. My radio hissed. Then I heard it. A soft whisper. Garbled. Close. But when I spun around, nothing. Just the same blood-stained walls and mildew. Still, I laughed it off. Probably static or rats. But the next corridor, I found footprints. Bare, wet, muddy, like someone had just walked ahead of me. And they led into the hallway that was supposed to be sealed. I paused. I stood there for at least a full minute, just staring. My flashlight began to flicker even though the batteries were brand new. Probably kids, I muttered. Probably just stupid kids sneaking in. But my voice sounded thin, like it wasn't mine. The air was getting colder. My breath was visible, but only in that hallway. And then came the feeling, that horrible, crawling feeling that someone was right behind me. I turned. Nothing. But my shadow. It looked wrong. Too tall. Too thin. And it moved. A second too late. I panicked. I ran. Not walked. Ran. Full speed down the hallway. Not even looking where I was going. Blood smeared the walls as I passed. The corridor seemed to stretch like it didn't want me to escape. My flashlight died completely. Only the emergency red light behind me remained. And that's when I heard the breathing. Heavy. Wet. Right behind my ear. I stopped. I shouldn't have. I turned around. Just a glance. Just to prove to myself there was nothing there. But there was. 2 red eyes. A massive, twisted figure emerging from the dark, smoke swirling around its limbs. No face, no mouth, just eyes. I screamed, reached for help, but there was no one. Just me. And it. I ran again. I didn't look back this time. I couldn't. Something deep in my brain screamed that if I did, if I truly looked, not just glanced, it would be over. But the hallway, it never ended. I kept running, but everything was looping. Same walls, same flickering lights, same blood trails. The monster's breath was behind me, hot and wet, but when I tried to scream, my throat locked. I yanked open a door on the left, storage room. I slammed it shut behind me and collapsed against the wall. Dark, quiet. For a second, I thought I had escaped. Until I looked up, there were dozens of photographs on the wall, old, stained, curled at the edges. Every single one showed me, standing in that hallway, screaming, reaching for help, but in every photo behind me, the shape was closer. In the last one, just inches away from my back, its hand on my shoulder, and under that last photo was a handwritten message. You looked. I tore the photos from the wall and backed into the farthest corner of the storage room. My hands were shaking, heart pounding like a war drum. My flashlight wouldn't turn back on. My phone had no signal, just a dead black screen. Even the second hand on my watch had stopped. Time felt broken. Then I heard it again, whispers, but this time they were saying my name. Jason, Jason, why did you turn? It was coming from behind the door. No, from inside the walls. And slowly, without realizing it, my hand reached for the doorknob again. I didn't want to open it. I swear to God, I didn't. But something in my arm, like it wasn't mine, twisted the handle and the door opened. Not into the hallway. Not anymore. It opened into a room made of mirrors. No walls. Just endless reflections. Hundreds of me, all screaming, all looking over their shoulders. And in every single reflection, the monster was behind me. Except mine. I was alone in my mirror. But I knew I wouldn't be for long. I stepped into the mirror room. Each reflection around me twisted just slightly wrong, like they weren't mirrors at all, but other versions of me, trapped, Some were crying, some were clawing at the glass, one was smiling, and behind almost every version of me, the creature loomed closer. Except in mine. In mine, the background was empty, but the silence, it was wrong. Too thick, too heavy. Suddenly, every reflection turned toward me at the exact same time. Their mouths opened wide, in perfect sync, and they all whispered, "Turn around, Jason." I stumbled back, but now there was no door, only endless mirrors, and my reflection, standing still, until it blinked. I didn't. Then it moved. Not a glitch, not a trick, it moved without me. It raised its hand, pointed behind me, and smiled. I shook my head. "No," I whispered. "No, I'm not turning around." But the reflections didn't stop. They all started screaming now, louder, higher, inhuman. Glass trembled. The room shook, and the me in the mirror, the one that had moved on its own, stepped forward. Its eyes were gone, just hollow, black holes. But it smiled wider than should be humanly possible. The walls began closing in. Every reflection pressed closer, melting, merging into each other, forming one mass of twisted limbs and faces, all mine. Then came the knocking, software repetitive, from behind my back, once, twice, 3 times. Each knock echoed like thunder in my skull, and with each knock, I felt it breathe on my neck. Closer, my nose began to bleed, my vision blurred. The room started flickering, like reality itself was glitching. Then the mirror version of me opened its mouth again and said, "He's already inside." I dropped to my knees. I couldn't think, couldn't breathe. My mind was splintering. The only thing that felt real was the sound. Knock, knock, knock. Each hit matched the pounding in my head. I grabbed at my ears, at my face, trying to block out the noise, but all I could hear was him. That other version of me. The hollow-eyed Jason. Laughing. Then, from behind me, I heard footsteps. Not heavy ones. Wet. Like something dragging across the floor. Slapping. Slow. Rhythmic. And getting closer. My hands were trembling violently. I looked down. My fingertips were bleeding. I hadn't even realized I'd been clawing at the floor, and it wasn't concrete anymore. It was skin. Pale, stretched skin. Veins pulsed beneath it. I backed away, but there was no away. Every surface around me breathed. I was inside something. Something alive. Then the whispers returned. But this time, they weren't begging. They were chanting, "Don't look. Don't look. Don't look." And that's when the voice spoke directly into my ear. Not a whisper, a deep, hollow echo that vibrated through my bones. "If you turn around now, you'll never leave." My breathing stopped. Not slowed, stopped. As if something clutched my lungs from the inside and held them still. That voice, it wasn't a warning. It was a threat. I clenched my fists. My nails dug into flesh. My own or the floor, I couldn't tell anymore. I had only 2 choices. Look behind me, or stay here forever. The chanting from the mirrors grew louder. All versions of me screaming, "Don't look! Don't!" But I stood up, slowly, shaking, and I turned around. The world didn't shatter. It collapsed. Reality peeled away, like someone ripping off skin, revealing only blackness, endless, suffocating, and alive. The hallway, the mirrors, even my own body, gone in a blink. But I could still feel the thing behind me, now inside me, wearing me like a costume, moving my limbs. And then I opened my eyes again. But I wasn't in the mirror room. I was back in the hospital hallway, standing still, smiling, waiting for the next person to come close and turn around. The end, or maybe just the beginning.